Hi, I'm Lisa Marie and welcome to my channel, Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. Today I'm collaborating with one of my YouTube friends. We're doing farmhouse DIYs. I'll tell you more about that later in the video, but for now, let's get crafting. For this DIY, I'm using a combination of supplies I already had that I used before and some new ones. So some of these little signs I had used before, so I'm taking off whatever I had on them. I'm sanding them down just to make sure there aren't any loose edges. And then I'm using this placemat that I got actually at the Family Dollar store. It was still only $1. And I'm going to cut out each of the mason jars so they're individual, and I'm going to cut off the greenery in it. I'm going to use the truffle colored chalk paint, and I'm just going to paint the top of each of these little signs because on those edges they have this really pretty plaid that looks really nice. So I'm going to let that show, and I'm going to do 2 coats. And I got this $1 little adhesive glue from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a combination of that and hot glue to attach these together, and then I'll turn it over and make sure that they're reinforced in the back. And what I'm going to do is reinforce these seams with some little popsicle sticks. I'm just going to make sure that the little hanger is secure with some hot glue so that it's right in the center of what will be the top. I'm going to take some craft paper, cut it down to size, and hot glue it around the edges like I always do to finish off my projects. And then I'll trim around the edges to make sure it's nice and tight. And I'm also going to cut open that little area to make sure that the hanger is showing so that we can hang this up when it's all done, if that's what we decide to do. Now I'm going to take my mason jars and just figure out how I would like to position them. But before I attach them, I'm going to use some Waverly White wax, and I'm just going to dry brush across. I want these to look like wood planks. And so what I'm doing is just putting a little teeny bit on my brush, wiping most of it off, and then going ahead and dragging it across. And I really like the effect. It makes it look like it's really wood. And now I'm going to take my liquid adhesive and combination of hot glue, and I am going to go ahead and put down the mason jars. I'm also going to use my brayer to make sure that they are adhered on the whole thing, and you can find that in my Amazon store if you don't already have one. And I'm going to do that with all 3 of the mason jars, and I think it looks really cute the way that they're positioned and just on the wood, so it looks like literally it's on pieces of wood planks. I'm going to also take some little thin jute twine from the Dollar Tree, and I'm literally going to hot glue it around each of the jars all the way around. And that kind of finishes off the edges instead of it looking like plastic, which it is. Now I'm going to take some really pretty fall greenery that I got in just different colors. I found the flowers at Dollar Tree, and then the other piece that looks kind of like wheat, I got that at Hobby Lobby on sale, 40% off. I'm going to cut them down real short, and then I'm going to hot glue them on so that it looks like they're coming out of the mason jars. And once I get all of that on there, I'm going to pull the leaves forward and cover up the stems so that you don't see those little stems and it looks like it's just coming right out. Now that I've tacked down the leaves that cover up the stems, I'm going to go and make the little bows that you see already on the placemat. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hot glue a piece of the twine straight across like it is in the picture, and then make a bow to match and just hot glue those right over the painted on, if you will, bows. And I just think it gives it more of a 3D effect, and I just really, really love how it's looking. I had a lot of fun making this one. I'm super happy with it. As I mentioned earlier, today's video is a collaboration with my friend Fanny from Creations by Favi. She has a really, really nice channel. She does a lot of farmhouse, thrift flip, shabby chic. She also does a monthly challenge called Twine It Up, where everyone has to use twine. And you should really check out her channel because I think she's a very talented artist. I will have her video link and her channel link down below. And if you've come over from Fanny's channel, welcome. I'm so happy to meet you, and thank you for watching my video. For this DIY, I'm going to use 3 of those little boxes that usually have the drawers in them from the Dollar Tree, and 2 of these little teeny cutting boards I got at Hobby Lobby on 40% off clearance. They're adorable. And then I always save little pieces of things that I don't use, so I've got a chicken, a tractor, and then this little like half circle shape. And these were literally such a good price. They were $3.99 each, but 40% off. And I'm going to use the plaster color chalk paint from Waverly and the truffle color chalk paint from Waverly. Now, one of these boxes was already painted white previously, but I'm going to sand the other two down, and I'm still going to go over them with the plaster color because it's just off-white. And I know that other white will look different if I don't cover it. I'm going to paint all 3 boxes, inside, outside, bottom, everything. And then I'm going to sand down my little pieces. I'm going to paint the half circle plaster on both sides, and then just the back of the chicken and the tractor with the plaster color as well. Next, I'm just going to kind of play around with them and determine where I would like to place them. So I've decided I'm going to use a combination of hot glue and liquid adhesive to put the chicken and the tractor on the 2 outside boxes. And I'm going to wait to add the little half circle. Now I'm going to take the truffle and a foam brush and just very lightly touch all of the edges, the entire box, every possible edge there is. And I'm just loving that little farmhouse antiquing look that it gives. Kind of goes into the wood a little bit, so it's like not a clean line. And then I just added a little bit to the edges of those pieces and around the middle, very lightly dry brush. So now I can go ahead and figure out the placement of the half circle. Now I'm going to take that liquid adhesive and the hot glue and attach all 3 boxes to each other. So that way I've got one piece now going forward. Then I'm going to cut up some cardboard to lift up that middle piece because I can't get it on there without it interfering with the chicken and the tractor. And by doing this, it kind of puts it slightly above it, and then I can get some glue on the back and attach it, and that really makes a huge difference. So if you're ever working with pieces that don't lay the same, this is a great way. Just kind of paint the edges of the cardboard like I did with the truffle, and it will just be hidden and you really won't even notice it. Next, I'm going to take last year's farmhouse calendar. I'm going to go to the back of it and cut out this cute little picture that just says Farm Fresh. I'm going to trim it down to size so that it fits right on that little half circle. And I'm going to use that liquid adhesive on the back, and I'm just going to put it on there and then get my brayer out and make sure every piece of it is touching the surface. And it's super, super cute. I'm going to distress around the edges of that, and I got a little too much on there, so I just quickly grabbed a baby wipe and I was able to clean it up right away. Now I'm going to take my little cutting boards and get rid of the tags, and I'm going to do a tight bond, which is like a heavy duty wood glue, and I'm going to put that on both sides and then a little bit of hot glue just to get it to stick for right now so that I can keep working. And it's a little wider than the 3 boxes, but because I have some pieces hanging over on the front, I had to let the extra go to the back. You really won't notice it. Now I'm going to take a big piece of twine, it's a little thicker, make a knot, put a little drop of hot glue. I'm going to wrap some tape around the edge of my twine. I'm going to put some of the bigger beads on there. They're just natural. I'm not going to paint them. I got them on Amazon, and you can find them in my Amazon store. Really good deal. I'm going to put just enough to make it to the other side, and then I'm going to string the twine right through, make another knot, and then add a dab of hot glue to make sure it stays in place. And now I have a cute little farmhouse handle for this caddy. You could use this for so many different reasons, and that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope my channel is a fun place where you can come and be inspired to create something. I do all different decor styles. There's something here for everyone. If you like what you see, be sure to hit the like button. That really helps my channel grow, and I appreciate it. This DIY is almost a trash to treasure. I've got this little plastic container that held some of my dog's medicine, and then I've got these furniture tacks that I ordered on Amazon. They're also in my Amazon store. I'm using some of the brown faux leather that they sell at the Dollar Tree if you're lucky to find it. And then I'm just using a piece of a box, and I'm literally going to rip off that outer layer on both sides and reveal the corrugated part. Now it takes some time. You got to get under it with something sharp like I did, and then I sand it off kind of any extra pieces just very lightly using the Dollar Tree sanding sponge. After I did that, I also tried to take the label off of the little container, which I really didn't need to, and then I just sanded it. I'm going to use the steel colored chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm just going to paint the very bottom portion and then the very top portion of this little canister, because that's all you would ever see once I put the cardboard on it. What we're going to do is create a faux galvanized metal look. So I've got the steel first. I'm also going to paint that corrugated cardboard on one side solid in the steel, and on the back just around the edges and about an inch in case you see any of that. Now I'm going to measure and make sure that my piece of cardboard is the right size for this canister. And I'm going to cut it out just to make sure, because once I have it, I don't want to have to cut it again when I paint everything. And I just trim it down and know that it's going to fit now. And then I'm going to take that steel, cover, like I said, this whole side and a little bit of the back. The next thing I'm going to do is take my ink color chalk paint, which is a black, and I'm just going to dab. I'm just using a hard brush and I'm just barely dabbing on. I don't want it to look like, you know, little circles. It's like a pouncing. I'm just very lightly touching it. And you see I'm just getting a little bit on there. I'm going to do the same thing on the little container, because everything that I painted, I want it to look like that. Now I'm going to take some white, and this is a folk art paint. I think it's called cottage white or something. And I'm just going to do the same thing on all the pieces that were originally steel. And as soon as I finish with that, I'm going to take the metallic silver by Folk Art and do the same thing. And that kind of tones down the white when you do that. And now it'll have that faux galvanized look. Now, because galvanized metal like this would be old, I have one more step to do. But first I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the little container. So I'm just going to wrap it around, and I'm going to use hot glue periodically around as I attach it, just to make sure that it's nice and secure on there. And then at the very end, I'll just put some right around the edge to make sure that it kind of goes over the other piece and lays there nicely. Now the last step is taking burnt umber or a color like that, that's from Apple Barrel, and go around all the seams and edges and make it look rusted. And then maybe add a little here and there, just, you know, in other places, just to kind of give it that natural rusted look. And this color really does a great job with that. And I make sure not to put too much on, and if I do, I wipe it off with the brush so that it's just a very light, almost like dry brushing type effect. I'm going to take the faux leather ribbon and I'm going to hot glue it directly to my little vase, and that's what it is. And I get the seams together, and then I'm going to take one of my furniture tacks, and because this is just a plastic container, it literally sticks right in perfectly, and I don't really have to worry about the point on the other side because I'm just going to put faux flowers in here. So I did the first one, and then I'm going to go up to the top and do a second one, and so it's got 2 rows of that towards the bottom and the top, and I think it looks so cool that way, and it just makes it look like a very high-end piece, and it's just a look that I really like with the faux galvanized metal. I have some foam, and I'm just going to cut it up into pieces and put it in there so that I have something to stick my faux flowers in. I'm going to take a little bit of this moss, and I'm just going to cut a circle so that you don't see the foam on the inside of the can, and it sits right there, and I can still poke the ends of the florals right into it. So I've got these beautiful blue florals and then these kind of wheat looking ones, and I think the combination together is just so pretty. And they're from the Dollar Tree. And once I have these florals arranged, this one is complete, and I hope that you really like it as much as I do. Besides YouTube, feel free to connect with me over on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook. Same name, Living My Best Life with Lisa Marie. I post all kinds of stuff on there behind the scenes and just what's going on in my day-to-day life. Hope to see you there. Do you love mega videos? Check out the link in my description box for a playlist of just that. I picked up this cookie jar at a thrift store. It's actually Threshold is the brand. I think they sell that at Target. So it's really nice, and it had the little part in the front that was like chalkboard, but I didn't like that green. So I cleaned it all off with alcohol because, you know, it came from a thrift store. And then I used this chalkboard paint I got at the Dollar Tree. And I went over the chalkboard area just because I wanted to freshen it up. I didn't know how long it had been sitting in the thrift store. And I just carefully painted only that part so it had a new fresh coat of that on there. Then I took that same paint and I painted the inside of the lid. And just not the outside, but just the inside I'm going to paint. And then I'm going to use my White Kills primer paint. And I'm going to prime the lid. Now, you know, it's very glossy ceramic, so things aren't going to stick to it, and that's why I realized I probably needed to do that. So I'm going to use that white color, dry it off, and then after doing a couple coats, I'm going to use this white chalk paint I have from Faux, and I'm going to go ahead and then cover with the chalk paint and dry it, because my plan is to do a buffalo check over the top of that. Now I'm going back and just filling in the rest of the chalk paint for the lid. I just wanted to keep that part black. Now I've got this kind of silkscreen stencil that I ordered on Amazon. It'll be in my Amazon store. Did not buy chalk paste. I'm only using my chalk paint, and I need to tell you it works just fine. So I kind of dabbed it on there with a foam brush, and there you go. And then I touched up some of the little spots where I, you know, kind of pulled it off. And then after I do that, I put some decoupage liquid over the top to seal it, and I do a couple coats of that. And then I'm going to use the dishwasher safe Mod Podge for the inside in case the cookies touch the inside. I want to make sure that that is covered with that. And then I use my Cricut to cut out the word cookies, and I use the Ray Dunn lookalike font called the Skinny because I have some Ray Dunn things in my kitchen and I wanted it to match. If you don't have a Cricut, you could print this out on some computer paper and then trace it on, and it would come out really nice. And it looks so cute, you guys. Now I have two ribbons, a black silk one and then a narrow reddish one. And I'm going to hot glue the red one to the top of the black one. I'm going to tie it around the top of the cookie jar and just make a very simple bow. And then I'm going to put a little straw raffia bow in the middle that has a button right in the center. It's super cute. I bought it already made at Hobby Lobby on 40% off sale. And that's it. This one is done. So cute, and I absolutely love it. Please let me know what you think and tell me if you like it too. And now for one last look at all 4 of my Farmhouse DIYs. I really enjoyed making these. They were very inexpensive to make, and I just have fun making things like this, especially just being creative and kind of coming up with my own ideas. Also, I want to remind you to look in my description box and go visit Fanny at Creations by Favi. Her video link and channel link will be there. And she is so much fun, so talented, and you really are going to want to go check out her and her channel. I know you're going to love it as much as I do. Be sure to let her know that I sent you. Also, I was wondering if you could answer a question for me. Are you enjoying seeing the fall content right now, or would you like to see some things that aren't specifically fall? I tried to keep this one a little more neutral, even though some of the florals are kind of fall. But, you know, I didn't know if you were getting too much of that or you still want more. So definitely let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy that you were here, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. I appreciate the time that you take to watch my videos. It means so much. And remember, you are a blessing to me.